Oh, yeah. They'll love them. They'll love them. Are we? Okay. G'day. We're on. Just reading over the letters that we've got tonight. We have 4 beautiful women on the show tonight. Not only are they beautiful in body, they're beautiful of mind as well, and that's why we've invited them on to share opinions on the issues that you've sent to us. And the letters tonight are these over here. First one tonight. I suspect she may have slept her way to the top, but it's not working. Yeah, someone who's been promoted beyond their capabilities. A regular story, isn't it? Second letter tonight. I ran to give help and everyone yelled to warn me off. And that's on a plane where there were some various non-familiar customs going on. And the letter writer highlights what was going on with different situations over there. It's an interesting letter. I see I told you I was going to trip over that one, didn't I? The last letter tonight. Do men hit a period in their life when they become angry and stay in a bad mood for the rest of time? The answer is, well, if you were asking me, I'd say you'll have to wait, won't you? Sweet and sour starting now.
Got a problem, big or small, would a miracle be nice? Our motley crew is back, churning out advice. You might even laugh a bit in the following half hour. Park your backside on the couch, cause baby it's time for Sweet and Sour. Right here on Sweet and Sour.
Pour some sugar on there, baby.
It's time for Sweet and Sour.
How's about some chili?
It's time for Sweet and Sour.
Sweet and Sour, lovely to have your company. Gary Mitchell with you for the next fun-filled half hour, hopefully. And with this lot of beautiful ladies, I'm sure we will. First up tonight, hello Carmen. I haven't seen you for ages.
It's been ages, hasn't it?
Look at your hair.
Yeah.
How spectacular is that?
It's a bit out there.
It's a lot out there. It's beautiful.
It's got a few.
And beautifully contrasted with Natalie's green top tonight.
We played it.
Did we?
No.
Smart. How are you, Nat?
I'm really good, thanks,
You're
Gary.
always really good. 2 ladies who were always really good. Right, Carmen?
Yeah, fantastic.
Yeah, all right. Smiling tonight. Have you seen the letters?
No.
They're fun.
Hello, Tanya.
Hi.
Welcome back.
Thank you, glad to be here.
Oh, I'm glad to have you. You were a find this year, I must say.
I would like to think so.
Yeah, you've been terrific. Lovely to have you here. Lydia, another one we haven't seen for ages.
It's been too long, Gary.
It's been too long?
It's a pleasure
That's what all
being
the
here,
girls tell me.
though.
It's too long. Here we go. Letter 1. Imminent collapse. My manager is a young, immature woman who has no idea that she doesn't know very much. I suspect she may have slept her way to what she thinks is the top, but I really can't be sure of that. Before she was the manager, she seemed to show much more motivation, eagerness to listen, and was full of great ideas. Then suddenly, overnight, she became the manager. And all those great attributes practically vanished and were replaced with childish demands for respect from everyone, tantrums when things went wrong, and blaming others for poor outcomes. Many colleagues have left, and those remaining are of strong character who ignore her, or there are those who are caught by the need, like me, to hang on desperately to their job. She's not a bad character, just a very insecure one, who wants to keep saying everything's fine. The problem is that if we keep performing badly overall, the whole division will be taken over and most of us will lose our jobs. I've tried talking to her, but immaturity and arrogance is very clear and she won't hear anything in her own mind other than interpreting it as a personal attack. I don't know what to do to save my job long-term. Suggestions, please, from the panellists. Tan, we're going to you first.
Okay, hi. Well, I've actually been in this situation pretty much, like very much identical, and I can honestly say I never slept with my boss.
So was it you?
Oh no, and he came out gay, so it became very apparent that it definitely was not because of that.
No wonder you couldn't get anywhere with it.
Yeah, exactly. No lack of trying. No, just kidding. But what I would like to say is that I think the only person that is immature here is probably you. And if you really if you don't feel like this person is doing a good enough job, you have the opportunity to, I don't know, apply for a promotion or perhaps contact HR and ask maybe for a career, a program to accelerate your career as opposed to like making someone else feel bad about theirs. There's nothing worse than going to work every day and having people basically hating on you. I have experienced that. So.
Ooh,
Yeah.
Lydia, what's going on here, do you think?
I concur. I'm 100% with Tan. I too was in a very, very similar situation. At the age of 23, I was a bank manager. I had 18 staff working for me, and I tell you what, I copped a lot of grief from people who sound a little bit like yourself. I also definitely did not sleep with my boss. However, funny.
I did not sleep
Cold
with my
poppy
boss, she
syndrome.
said, and then proceeded with, however.
However, I was distracted with a laugh. No, listen, give her a chance. She's been promoted. You don't know she slept with the boss. Don't assume, because when you assume, you know what you make out of yourself. Give her a go and just go with it, flow. And if you let go and let her be and do her job, I have a little feeling things might actually be okay.
I reckon this is a case of the Peter principle. She's actually been promoted to her level of incompetence. I think they've given her a go. What's going on here? Who's up? Carmen.
I think take the proactive approach and maybe in an adult form write an email directly to her and say basically all the things that need to be addressed only to do with business. If she ignores the email and doesn't take any action, then maybe go to her higher power, because obviously there is a higher power to her. But in a business sense, rather than act immature, which she seems a bit like that, I think maybe, just email her because she's not listening to her and just do it in point form so it's easy to understand. And if she doesn't address it, then basically CC the higher power.
Last word, Nat.
So, Krilly of Tullamarine in Victoria. It's an unusual name, isn't it? Wonder if she's
Krilly?
watching. Yeah, it's an unusual name. I can't imagine there's too many of it. You might have just busted yourself open on national television. Look, open up your possibilities. When you arm yourself with choices, and by choices I mean look at other alternates for employment. When you arm yourself with choices, you feel the power to make a choice to either stay in the situation that you're in or to move on. So I would say have a look around and see what else suits you if you're not happy with where you are, but don't rag on someone else. It's just not cool.
Well, it's a regular thing. She sounds like she's pretty protective of the whole organisation. And sometimes that's what happens. You do get people who are promoted who don't know what to do. And they're terrific until they get to a position where they really don't know what to do, and then all the insecurities come out and they don't know what to do.
So, but that situation will naturally implode by itself, and so
And
it should.
and it looks like it's imploding.
Yeah, well,
and
so-
it looks like they're all going to lose their job. Get about a bunch of 4 of you who think the same, go to her and exactly what the girls say. Don't make it personal. Make sure it's all about work, and then you're welcome to go higher and say this is what we should do. We asked you people at home this question, and you answered it for us. Should everyone have to prove themselves before they're promoted? Here's what you said. 88% said yes, of course, but then we wouldn't have the Peter principle, where people who are incompetent do get promoted. And that's life. You're allowed to learn on the job as well, as long as it helps everybody else.
Doesn't encompass nepotism either, does it really?
Sometimes it does, doesn't it? When we come back, we're going to be talking about, other cultures and how we deal with them when we're confronted with them and they don't fit with our value system. And that happened to this letter writer on a plane as she was coming home. Don't go away. More of Sweet and Sour. See you soon.
Was it Westpac?
It's time for Sweet and Sour. Right here on Sweet and Sour.
That's clock. Welcome back to Sweet and Sour. If you'd like to send us a letter and have it discussed by the panellists, send it to one of these social media points flashing on your screen right now. Who can read it?
All of us.
Oh, you're speaking for everybody. All right, if all of you can read it. Lydia, what's the top one say?
The top one says, Gary, sweetandsour.net.au.
And that would be our email address. Okay. Carmen, what's the bottom one say?
That would be Snapchat, and we are at Sweet and Sour TV.
Oh, all right, smarties. And for everyone who sends us a letter and we do discuss on the panel, we're going to send you to the movies, courtesy of Natalie Cameron and NRC Communications. And the movie we're sending you to this week is, up on the screen right now, A House with a Clock in its walls. Have you heard anything about that?
No.
I have.
Is it a grandfather clock?
I don't know.
Is it time travel?
Letter 2. Oh, yeah, it's a mystical movie. Yeah. Hi, Sweet and Sour. I'm shaking my head and have been for the last week since arriving home. To cut a long story short, on a connecting plane trip through the Middle East home, I witnessed a man punch a woman who was a flight attendant in the face, and he bloodied her nose and knocked her to the ground. Awful. I ran to give help and everybody yelled to warn me off, including the flight attendant, who said to me in English, that's how it is here. Men not only think they have the right to do this, the law doesn't help any women. I still don't know what to do about it, but I can't cop it. What is there to be done about this? Should we not care because it's happening in another country? It's backwards. Yet we do nothing to educate those who we invite into our country to our very civil, respectful way of life. I don't care what skin colour or religion another person is, as we're all different, but we must have a universal respect and work for it. How do we get this done, panellists? Basil of Brighton in Victoria. Okay, Carmen, first up. Ooh.
Well, first of all, I have to say I'm actually very disgusted about this, and only because something similar happened to me on the weekend just gone.
You look good.
Where basically, an Uber driver abused me for his wrongdoing, and it didn't turn out very nice.
He wasn't physical, he was just verbally abusive?
Yes. And it was exactly his fault. So what I'm trying to say is, can we change that in our country? Because obviously you're back home in Australia now.
Do it home first.
Well, I think start at home.
Set a good example first.
So if you've got little ones, you're teaching them from a young age, and if everyone in Australia did that from like ground up, then eventually we will all learn as a nation.
I think that might be right. You have to set a good example for yourself first. Any changes you want have to start here.
Correct.
All right, Nat.
Do you know what your rights are on a plane?
No.
So
Does anybody? You're flying over so many different zones.
Yeah, international. Look, your rights on a plane are if you see something that's assault, you report it, you make sure it goes to the captain, and then, you know, they handle it, and where you disembark is who handles it. So if you started in the Middle East and ended up in Australia, I think you'd probably have a little bit more of a problem. Look, the answer to this is education.
Yes.
Education of women.
Yes.
Particularly in third world and developing countries. So if you have the opportunity, if you want to do something about it, why not donate to programs that help with the education of women? Because education is power, and it has twofold benefit. It not only lets women know, gives them choice by being educated and knowing what's right and wrong, because some women honestly don't. But it also helps reduce the population, which we all know at the back of it does.
Does it really?
It's proven, yes, that in developed countries that the population declines, and
The more education
And
you
I
have.
think there's
There's more
far
TV.
too many people.
Can I ask a question? Why did you highlight just women rather than men and women for the education program?
Because in this instance, the woman hasn't spoken up. She has rights and she hasn't spoken up. She needs to be educated to do so. To make man change, I think you have to, as a woman, have some level of responsibility to ensure that that happens.
Empower the women.
Yep.
Tan?
Well, obviously it's a terrible thing, and I don't
Shocking.
encourage it. But however, like the saying goes, when in Rome, do as the Romans
Oh,
do.
I don't think so.
No. But saying that also, like if we're in their space, or if that's what's socially accepted in that particular area, we don't have necessarily any right to question that. What I do think we do have
Yes,
the right.
you do.
No.
Your rights are never taken away from you.
No, they're not. But what I'm saying is when people come here, or when they choose to live here, they should have to be also in Rome. So I think that things need to be a lot more stricter, and assimilation should be a massive requirement of order for people to move to this country.
They've got to be educated, though. Okay, it's one thing to say they've got to do what we do, but if they don't know what our rights, their rights and responsibilities are,
I
we've got
think
to have
they
a
know.
program.
I don't think people are stupid.
Well, you can't assume anything, can you? And this sorts of thing. I mean, we have a massive problem with our Indigenous
Yeah, but no,
people,
for starters, this
without
person has already
women
said
at home.
that, you know, even the air hostess has said, like, stand back, this is what is socially acceptable here. So you cannot, like, then expect that person to change.
No, she's only said that to diffuse the situation. She's only said it because she doesn't want two men fighting on the plane. She hasn't said it for any other reason.
Well, I'll disagree because at the end of the day, you know, everyone has said, like, she has not said just her, she said everyone has said, like, sit down, stay back, whatever. So that's what's allowed there.
That's to stop an escalation of a situation. So there's a protocol when you're an air hostess that you are taught when there's an altercation on the plane, and it's part of the protocol.
So was every passenger taught that protocol before they got on the plane?
No, and that's where this person's misgiven. They don't know.
Lydia, final word.
First and foremost, I think it's absolutely disgusting. I think this should have been escalated at least to the pilot and to whatever the authorities are beyond this. Once you have landed or the person had landed, this certainly should have been reported. And I can say I'm out of time, but I just hope for the good of our country that this person wasn't coming to our country, doesn't think that it's okay to behave like this. And as Gary touched on, education is certainly a very, very important thing for how we behave. However, it's just respect. We're well past those days. We're all the same, men, women. We all deserve the same respect.
We asked you people, thank you, Lydia. We asked you people at home, should we have an ethics education program for all migrants settling in Australia? Here's what you said, 81%. Well, guess what? We should have that education program for everyone in Australia, not just our people arriving. Goodness me. When we come back, we're going to be talking about grumpy old men. Do we all turn into grumps? Changing the tone a little. When we come back, Vinny's saying yes, we do. All right, don't go away. More of Sweet and Sour coming up.
I'm Lydia, and I love being on Sweet and Sour. But Gary said I'm not allowed to say that.
Time for Sweet and Sour. Right here on Sweet and Sour.
You're grumpy. Natalie's grumpy. Once a grump. Do men hit a period in their life when they become angry and stay in a bad mood all the time from then on? Is that what a midlife crisis creates? My terrific dad, who would give you the shirt off his back, spent a hell of a lot of his time being bad-tempered and would fly off the handle at the slightest thing. Despite all of that and having to treat him with kid gloves, he was a wonderful father. My own husband is now 45 and he's turning into my dad. It's you, honey. He's a wonderful man too, but no longer is he the time-taking, tolerant man he used to be, and I hear so much disillusionment from him. I suppose he's entitled to be a bit negative, as a couple of years ago our bank, instead of supporting our ailing retail business, decided after 17 years of doing business with them, we weren't worth the support when the road became a little rough. We didn't lose everything, thankfully, and we both have good jobs now, but that episode was certainly the trigger for his anger. We have 3 boys, and I want to prepare them for all eventualities in their futures, and that's why I'm writing. So, will my husband stay grumpy like my dad? Or is there something to do here that I can pass on to my boys? Grace of Doncaster in Victoria. Nat, first up, like your jeans. Yeah.
There's andropause. Did everyone know about andropause?
Andropause.
Andropause.
Which
I feel you're going through it right now,
men's
Gary.
menopause.
There you go.
Andro.
Yes,
Andro.
There you go. But it's the Greek. Yeah. From 40 to 60 years old, men do have hot flashes, moodiness.
Hot flashes?
Yeah.
God, I've got something coming from the girls later on. Terrific.
Loss
Few
of
hot
muscle
flashes.
mass, thin skin, they get fatter through here. So there is andropause, and that's a decline in testosterone in men. So there is a reason there, and he can see a GP about that. But really what I think underlying this, and there's a terrible stigma in Australia about men not seeking any counselling for painful and traumatic events. And you've described in this, and you know him better than anyone, that he's gone through a painful and traumatic event with you. And I feel there's probably some tension around that for the both of you, and you probably both need to speak to someone about it and let it go, because when you have unsolved issues, that can come up as just being short-tempered and all those things that you've discussed.
Very good.
So I think that there's a couple of things for you to look at there.
Carmen?
I would actually, it's not nice when you're grumpy. Like, you know when you feel really bad in yourself, it doesn't feel nice to be grumpy.
I do it to the kids here at Sweet and Sour all the time.
Yeah, but you don't feel nice in yourself.
No, you don't. Never do.
So what I'm trying to say is maybe take him out on a beautiful date night, just you and him. none of the kids around, no like TV, nothing like,
Make him feel special and good.
basically, and then sit him down and ask him what's wrong.
Yeah, relax him.
Just direct approach.
Yeah, he probably does need a little bit of counselling. Lydia.
Well, there certainly is a stigma to men reaching a certain age and going a little bit grumpier, and I have seen this in many mature men that I know myself. I do agree with the girls, particularly Carmen. I would say rather than you can go on a dinner, but I would be more inclined to go on some sort of nice relaxing retreat. Just get away, unwind, detach from everything, and while you're there, nice and relaxed, perhaps write a list of things you need to do, that you want to do, because there's obviously something going on inside where he's not 100% happy and there's pressure. Life is full of pressures, and I just think dealing with that, and perhaps even do some form of light counselling, yoga, meditation, just find your inner zen.
Find your inner zen. Before we ask Tan for the final word, we asked you people at home to answer this question for us. Will all males eventually suffer from a midlife crisis and anger? Oh, midlife crisis anger. Here's what you said. 40% only said yes. 60% said no. Tan, the final word.
Okay, firstly, congratulations on marrying your father. No, I think the problem is when you've come from a childhood that has like disruption and you have an angry parent, you establish ways of moderating your own behaviour in order to make sure that they be happy. And unfortunately, I think you're doing the same thing with your husband. So it didn't work for your father. It doesn't sound like he changed his behaviour, and I don't think your husband is going to change his either. So you obviously need to take some time, have a talk to him, and see whether or not you can find some common ground and help him explain what he's doing. Because ultimately, if you don't find a way to fix this now with him, you are going to be teaching your children to do the same things.
Ooh, you've got to pass on some good learnings to your kids.
Absolutely.
Do you like this letter to give away our prize of the week for the best letter? Which is courtesy of Alon Treves and Aussie Opticals, and we haven't done that for a long time, but Alon rang me during the week and he says, am I still sponsoring your show because you haven't said anything? Do you like this letter or do you like one of the others?
I like this letter.
And
like
I
this?
find your innocence.
Yeah?
Yeah, so that guy needs them.
I like letter 2. We had the best discussion
I
on
like
the
letter 2
planet.
as well. I'm voting
Letter 2?
letter 2.
Lydia, you get a chance to change your vote. Did you like letter 2 or
Do
letter
you know what, Gary? You persuade me. It's only because of that shirt.
Hang on, that shirt, where's that from? Brighton, Victoria. Where's the Western Australian one? We can give it down there. That's the letter. No good. Which letter did you like? She's not into this. We've got to go. Are you ready? Yes. We had a great discussion this week, so I want you ladies to come back next week. Can we do that?
Love that.
I can do that.
You can do that?
Yep.
Oh, yeah, I'm going to sit you on the end because you've got jeans on. I like jeans. We've got to go. Thank all of our wonderful guests tonight.
I'll be hiding under the desk.
Thank our terrific crew here at Sweet and Sour, and thanks for having us at home tonight, Australia. Good night, everyone. Bye-bye. See you next week. And all the ladies will be back. Bye for now. Keep waving. Who told you to stop? Vinny's sitting there going, wave. So we do. How's it going? Oh, okay, all right, we can do that. Dance hands, we're good.